Hello and welcome to Outside In. My name is Steven. Today I'm going to be revisiting a device that I had reviewed a little while ago, and it is the Yihua 948 De-Soldering Station. The reason that I'm going back to that, mostly I guess it's because I'm still waiting on someone to give me a suggestion or ask for or make a request on a video. It's hard for me to come up with ideas to create videos because so many people have done so many videos and I don't know what else I could do to add to what they've already done. But the other reason for this video is because I've been getting some comments lately about this desoldering station that I thought, maybe I should, create a video showing people how to use it correctly, or any desoldering gun, whether it's desoldering gun or a handheld pump. I've seen a lot of videos that review desoldering guns and hand pumps and then say that they're garbage because they don't suck very well. And then I watch the video back and I see how they're doing it, and I see one super huge mistake that people are making when they try to use a desoldering gun. And that's the reason that they're not getting very good results. So I wanted to clear that up. Now, I'm not going to make this video to say this is how you should do it, because believe me, there's a lot of people out there that have way more experience than I do at desoldering, using these desoldering guns or hand pumps. I'm just going to show you how I do it, how it works well for me, how the way that I do it, I've never had an issue, and also the way that I do it, I don't understand how people can say that it doesn't suck when it does very well. Actually, you will find the best way that works for you. So also I wanted to show you a couple of comments that I've gotten since I put this video up. I'm using these also as another reason to go ahead and create this video. So let's go to the video. And the first comment that I got a lot of help out of was Leo. Said, thanks for the video. Some advice. Put some silicone grease in the spring after cleaning, and it prevents the solder from getting stuck in the spring. And I was like, oh my goodness, that sounds like an incredible idea. We're going to be doing that in this video, and we're going to see how well it works. Drifter 7508, he said, wait a second and let the solder melt before you press the suction trigger. Now, the reason that Drifter said that was my fault, because this was my first time ever using a gun like this. So I was excited, and I did jump the gun a bit on not letting it completely melt the solder before I hit the button. But still, even then, it was still working very well for me. But yes, he is absolutely 100% right. You just give it a second to melt your solder. There's a swirling motion that you need to do as well that really helps a lot with getting solder out of a joint. And we're going to be going over that as well. Okay, now Dominic, I got one as a present. I really wanted to test, but sadly, when I plugged the soldering gun and pulled the trigger, the display shows PHT or something like that, and it's not working. It's sad because the station looks really solid. The worst thing is the manual, which looks more like a manual from a cheap toy. Basically, absolute minimum of information. And Dominic is 100% correct. This is another thing I wanted to address in this video, is that PHT. I wanted to show that just because you're getting the error, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with the gun. It's because you're not being patient. And we're going to show you that. Also, what we're going to be testing, and I'm seeing a lot of comments, not on just my video, but on other videos as well, about other soldering stations like this, that they take way too long to heat up, and it's just not worth it. Well, to me, it is worth it, because I'm not sure exactly what this costs right now. I mean, I think when I purchased this was around $140 or something like that, $140. But man, that was way less than like a Hacko. You're only spending like $140 maybe. Okay, so you know what? It's not going to heat up in 3 seconds like my Sugon A9 soldering iron, which heats up in about maybe 5 seconds. I wish the desoldering gun did that, but it does take a while. But we're going to be testing that. We're going to be seeing exactly how long it takes to heat the Yihua 948 desoldering station up to temperature before you can actually start desoldering with it, because it will let a beep out at the end when it's done, and when it's ready, it will start beeping. Once that beeping finishes, then it's good to go. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you get something out of this video, and let's get right to it. Now, the first thing I wanted to cover was this here, the Yihua 948 De-Soldering Gun that we're going to be testing again today. And this is an electric soldering iron, except it's not a soldering iron, it's a desoldering iron. And you know, it works just like this, except it's electric. Okay, I just laid these out here to show you the other alternatives. This here, I tell you what, I got so frustrated with using one of these. Now, this is a new one. I bought a new one because I messed the other one up, melted it. I haven't even used this one. So we'll put that out of the way. This one I'm not going to use either. Anybody who has used an electric soldering iron, it works the same way. It just, and then you push the button to suck the solder out. When you are desoldering, let's say this is the tip of the desoldering gun right here, where you're going to suck the solder. If you hold this at an angle with the board, what you're getting is that right there. See that opening there? And then they'll hit the button to suck the solder out, and very little comes out. And then they say, man, I can't get it out. I can't get the part out. So this is garbage. It doesn't work. It doesn't suck very well. The thing is, though, if you take that gun, that tip, and you move it with the board parallel, I'm going to say parallel with the board, see that hole closes up. So that's the key to using one of these guns, is instead of holding it at an angle when you take the solder out, you put it parallel with the board so that hole is sealed against the solder and the board. And then when you press the button to suck the solder out, if you use a swirl motion, that works even better. Also, you want to make sure you have the correct tip with the correct hole size, because that has a lot to do with getting really good performance out of the gun as well, using the correct tip. And the other thing that I would like to test today too, and see if it will work, as I thought, wow, I wonder if you could actually use a desoldering gun as a soldering iron in a pinch. Instead of waiting a couple of minutes for your iron to heat up, you're like, okay, well, let me see if I can use this as a soldering iron. So we're going to see if that would actually work. I also have a Silicone A9 soldering iron, and that's what I'm going to be using to solder these components into this board. And then we're going to use the gun to take them out. All right, so let's get over to the De-Soldering Station, the Yihua 948. This is my Silicone A9. First thing I wanted to do, back over here, I wanted to do what Leo suggested. Well, because my finger is too big to fit inside there, what we're going to need is a Q-tip. And we will put some grease around inside here. And then swish it around all the way to the bottom. Now, Leo didn't say how much to use, but I'm thinking that you wouldn't have to use a whole lot. And I'm not using a whole lot. I'm just coating it a little bit. Okay, so that should be, I'm going to say, hopefully that should be good enough. Let's put our cap back on. Let's put it back in our gun. Then cock it. And now it's in there. And it's got silicone grease in there, so we'll see how well that works. Okay, now let us see how long it takes for the de-soldering gun to heat up to temperature. Turn it on. I set mine at 360 because that's where I solder at. So let me show you right away. If I pull the trigger, see the PHT or PHT, PHE, however you want to say that, it's the preheat error. The reason it does that when you pull the trigger because it hasn't heated up. That's the only reason it does that. So we're going to see the timer's going, so we're going to see how long it takes. It will beep when it is ready. Even when it shows 360, it still won't be ready. You got to wait for the beeps on this one anyway. And when it stops beeping, then it will be ready to use. Now it starts flashing, but the thing is, even when it starts flashing, it still isn't ready because if I pull the trigger, it still gives the error. Okay, now it stopped flashing and it beeped. So now it is ready to start using. All right, so let's go over to the bench and let's put some components in this board so we can desolder them. All right, now we have a board with a number of components in it. Okay, the first thing that we want to do is I want to see if we can use this as a soldering iron in a pinch. So, I guess the answer to that is yes. In a pinch, we can use that. Okay, so let's do what we came here to do. Focus, focus, focus. Okay, now, I probably should have clipped these off, but should work. The hole is big enough for it to fit inside the component, and then hold it parallel with the board, and then move around circles. And then that component came out very easily. So let's try this component. See if we can get that out. Hold it, try to hold the gun parallel with the board to get better suction. And then move it around, swirl it around. And that one came out. That one came out. So we get this little one out. Yeah, it'd have been better if I'd have used an actual board with components in it, but clip the leads off of this one. Let's clip the leads off the rest of them because that's the way they would be in a board that you're actually taking apart components out of. Maybe this wasn't a good idea after all. I guess this wasn't a very good board. Is that thing? You know what? That's not sucking. Why is it not sucking? It's clogged up. That sucks. And all this time, it was clogged up. Oh my goodness. So, in all this time, it wasn't sucking very well because it was clogged up. So, I guess I'm glad that happened because that's another thing to test. Let's not put another component in here just to test again. Now, see, it just fell out. Oh my goodness. I feel like an idiot. So that is a good thing to check. If your gun isn't desoldering very well, make sure it's not clogged up. So let's try one more here. Oh, is this clogged up again? If you hold it up to your ear, you can hear it sucking. But it never did that. When I used this the first time, it never got clogged up. When I put that silicone grease in there, it's getting clogged up. And I'm wondering if that grease is hindering the suction. Interesting. That may be what's happening. Turn this off, let it cool down, and then we'll take the spring out and see if the solder comes out quick, easier. The first time I used the gun, I didn't have a bit of problem at all with it clogging up. Not a bit, nothing. Never clogged up on me. But that whole board that I took all the components out of. This time, when I started taking components out of this board, I was like, what's going on? Because it wasn't desoldering anything. Then I pulled the hose off. Let me show you that. I pulled the hose off of this right here. And then I pulled the trigger, and this was suction. This had suction on it. Then I took this out. And that was not clogged. The hole there was not clogged. Then I looked at that hole right there, and that had solder in it. So I'm wondering if putting that silicone in that spring prevented it from sucking very well, which was causing the nozzle to clog up. Because this clogged up twice. That's why I wasn't desoldering anything. So that's got me curious. So maybe the silicone thing is not a good idea. I'm glad that happened. Like I said, when I did this video the first time, that whole board that I took all those components out of, it never got clogged once, not once. This time, it clogged up twice. So that's interesting. And I'm going to say for me then, here on out, I won't be using grease in this because I don't want to hinder it from suction and clog my gun up. But now this is cooled down, so let's see if... Yeah, I even put grease down inside the cone. And it, yeah, this is going to be even harder to clean than it was the first time I used this. Because now it's sticking because of the grease. And this is silicone grease. So see? Silicone grease. And that's what Leo said to use. But now, see here, now I have, this is clogged. Let's see if I can melt this out of here. Ouch. That's hot. All right, they got it out that time. You know what? That was more difficult to get the solder out with the grease in it. Interesting. Now I think what I'm going to do is clean this with alcohol to get all the grease out of it. So maybe the grease was not a good idea after all. Okay, so, well, that was interesting. I'm not sure what to say about that. So, Leo, if you watch this, please let us know. Do you have an occasion where the gun seems to clog up more now than it used to before? Because like I said, when I did this video the first time, I desoldered that whole board, which was probably about 20 components that I probably took out of that board. Or close to it anyhow. And it never clogged up once. This time, when I put the grease in there, it clogged up twice. And trying to clean it out, was even more difficult because all the little pieces of solder was sticking to the grease, and now I've got to clean this out with alcohol. So I'm going to say it actually took me longer to clean this out this time, and I didn't take out near the number of components that I did the first time, and it took me longer to clean this spring. I think what happens is, see, when this opens up, you have all those gaps. And when it's together and you have grease inside here, I believe it's preventing the suction from getting inside of the spring to pull it through. And that's why it clogged up twice. And anybody who has tried this that actually knows that's the fact, then you could leave a comment as well. For all I know, Leo was just messing with me. And maybe Leo is laughing right now because actually the grease isn't a good idea. I don't know. But I don't want to think that Leo was messing with me. Maybe I was too liberal with the grease. There's still pieces in here that won't fall out because they should just fall out like it did the first time I did this. But now they're just sticking to the grease. And it's a lot harder to clean this with the grease in it. So Leo, let us know if you're watching this, if you were just messing with me so other people don't make this mistake. So yes, I found out too that you could use the De-Soldering Gun as a iron in a pinch, because when this was clogged up, I couldn't get a lot of the components. None of the solder was getting sucked out, and it was just clumping up. And I was like, what in the world's going on? Is this thing messed up already? It quit working on me? But some of the components were just falling out, putting it on it like you would a soldering iron. So yes, this can be used as a soldering iron in a pinch. I would definitely not want to use this as a soldering iron if you didn't have time to let your soldering iron get up to temperature. If you have a soldering iron that takes 2 minutes to heat up and you don't want to sit there for 2 minutes waiting to heat up just to do one little thing, then yeah, you could use this soldering gun while it's hot, use it as a soldering iron to finish up something really quick if you don't have time to let your soldering iron heat up. I'm actually kind of excited when these mistakes happen. I don't even know if I want to say mistakes because maybe it was supposed to happen like that. Because I'm sure you out there watching this, if you've used one of these and you've run into similar situations why this thing just won't suck at all, and a lot of people may be dissing this and other soldering guns, yeah, the grease I don't think was a good idea. As far as I know, that's it for this video. Let's see, what else do I need to say? Anything else? Thanks for joining in. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this. I hope this was helpful in even a small way. I know I learned something today, so I'm hoping you learned something as well. So I'm going to end like I always do. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Find somebody that needs to laugh, that needs a hug, that needs a smile, and make it happen. I will see you in the next one.